You're still feces-eating broke beasts, and God hates you.
Well, this is everyone's job. Everyone should be out on the streets saying the truth. And you're never too young to start preaching the Word of God.
So, I'm Chris Hansen. Grew up in a mainline Protestant church, and then in college I became an evangelical and maintained that through coming here to grad school, and then through a series of events I eventually left that church and am now in the Religious Society of Friends, also known as the Quakers.
So why exactly did they ask you to leave the church?
What really did it, though, was this whole gay issue, in that partway through my first year here, one of these guys who was in my small group, his name was John, he and I were sitting at a coffee shop, and he said, if it would be okay to be gay, would you date me? Mm-hmm. And we had already known that each other was gay, and that suddenly something that had been very abstract up to that point became very real. Like, it's not just an issue of theology or an issue of what God thinks about other people, but it was me. Like, this is my future. Mm-hmm. Am I going to date him? Could I have a relationship that will be fulfilling, and I won't be lonely, and I'll have love and all of these things?
How did it feel when they asked you to leave the church?
I could understand what they were doing, but it was very painful. Jesus said, go forth and show God's love to the world by your love for one another. It's like your father or mother telling you, get out of the house, like, please go somewhere else.
So what did you actually say to them?
That I came to this church for community, and community is the reason why I have to leave it now, because you're not willing to provide that community to me. Being with God is not just enough. I need to have other people who are willing to talk with me as well.
So what were your parting words then?
Then I left with a passage from 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, and that the greatest of these things is love, and that I still had love for them, but I wasn't feeling it within return, and I had to move on.
In Genesis chapter 19, it is inferred that homosexual sex was one of the sins that contributed to God's destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Another reference is in Leviticus, where it says, "You shall not lie with the man as with the woman," is an abomination. But as I researched more of the sins that are condemned in the Old Testament, I found many surprising things. For example, fish without fins or scales are not to be eaten. So it got me thinking, if homosexuality is a sin, then why is it okay to eat shrimp? Where do you draw the line? The next person I interviewed requested to remain anonymous. She's a member of the United Methodist Church and plans on becoming a minister. She's also a lesbian. Since the United Methodist Church doesn't allow their ministers to be openly gay, if someone finds out she's gay, they can prevent her from becoming a minister. What's going on in DC right now?
As of, about a week and a half ago, same-sex couples could get legally married, and so that's been a struggle for some of the United Methodist ministers in Washington, D.C., because according to the Book of Discipline, the Book of Laws of the denomination, they are not allowed to perform same-sex marriages. If they perform same-sex marriage, they could be brought up on church charges. Know that within the Methodist Church that we don't fully accept gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender folks. That's why I can't show my face on this for this interview, is that it puts me at risk. And I think, also I'm choosing to not show my face because I think I can represent lots of different people who are being silenced in this process. I'm committed to this denomination because of the social justice beliefs of our faith, and I think our denomination is big enough to accept gay clergy, and certainly God is big enough. God accepts GLBTQ folks.
Despite all these struggles, how is it they still want to be a minister?
That's a very good question, and I continue to wrestle with it, and because this is bigger than me, and it's about, I believe it's about God's calling on my life. God has called me to be ordained. There are so many gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender persons who have been so abused and misused by religion in general, by all forms of religion, that part of my call is to be a healing force